Okay, welcome back, everybody, to the Fantasy Savvy Show with your host, Steve D'Angelo, back for Week 15 NFL picks. We are here on a Saturday. Usually we do this show Thursday night after the Thursday night game. I had an emergency with a leak, so I had to take care of that. But we are back here for Saturday. You can see scrolling below. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to the video. The Fantasy Savvy Weekly Show presented by the Face Off Sports Network. We are here every single week making NFL picks. So if you're watching on Facebook or Twitter or Twitch, head over to our YouTube page and make sure you guys subscribe and like. Helps us a lot. As we go through the games tonight, if you guys want to talk about anything Week 15, we'll get into it fantasy-wise, NFL picks-wise. You want to talk about Travis Hunter winning the Heisman. You want to talk about the NBA Cup a little bit. We got the Thunder and the Rockets playing right now. Thunder are up 10 points. There's also a bowl game. We're in bowl season right now, so a lot of sports going on as we head into the holiday season. Christmas is upon us, Hanukkah, and the New Year. So a lot going on. So make sure you guys like, subscribe once again, and share. Hit that notification button. Welcome, everybody, once again to the Fantasy Savvy Weekly Show with your host, Steve D'Angelo. So just a quick recap of our record on the year. Last week, we were 5-3. We had the Jets +6 that won. Falcons -6 didn't. Falcons mini over 46. That hits. Jags 2 weeks in a row with the Jags. They cover. That hits. Jags Titans over doesn't hit. Tampa Bay Vegas over doesn't hit, but then we get the Niners -3.5 against the Bears. That was a smash. And the Chargers on Monday night against the Chiefs, that hit. So 5-3. We're now at 59, 60-1 for the year. That's 49.5%. So just under 50%. We got to get over 52.5% to start cashing. Last year, we were 87, 74-2, 54.5%. So we cashed. We got plenty of time. We pick all the way through the Super Bowl. We've been pretty hot of late. Since week 8, we were 8-3. Week 9, 7-4. Week 10, 3-3. Week 11, 3-1. We had one hiccup in week 12 at 1-7, but then week 13, 6-3, and then last week 5-3. So stay tuned. We got 7 more picks tonight. We have a full slate of games. No more bye weeks. I believe we have 7 games in the 1 o'clocks, 5 games in the 4 o'clocks, 1 Sunday night game, and then we got 2 Monday night games this week. So a little bit different. And we just came off a Thursday night game where, we all expected a little bit more fantasy punch out of that game. Some down games for Purdy, Stafford, Cooper Kupp with a donut. Deebo Samuel disappoints once again. Garendo doesn't do much. It really just was Kittle having a pretty decent game, 10, 11 points for your fantasy court. I mean, your tight end isn't bad. And then also Puka Nacua has a nice game as well. So hopefully things turn up here a little bit in week 15, first round of the fantasy playoffs, but we'll get into the NFL picks after this. I just want to read this quote, guys. I just got a book with some sports quotes. I just want to read this before we get into the picks. And one of them is by John Brody, NFL quarterback. He says, "There's an intensity and danger in football, as in life generally, which keeps us alive and awake. It is a test of our awareness and ability. Like so much of life, it presents us with the choice of responding either with fear or with action." So I like that one. And then Vince Lombardi says, "Coaches who can outline plays on a blackboard are a dime a dozen. The ones who win get inside their players and motivate." We'll come right back with the picks. Week 15. Like, subscribe. Let's go. Welcome to the Fantasy Savvy Weekly Show with your host, Steve D'Angelo, presented by the Face Off Sports Network, discussing high-stakes fantasy football, waiver fab, free agent pickups, NFL picks, and more. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. And we're back. Fantasy Savvy Weekly, presented by the Face Off Sports Network. We got KJ Frederick in here saying, "Need major help." Started Kupp and Jennings. Dang, 5 points. Shaking my head. It's very, very frustrating. Better flex, Adam Thielen or Garrett Wilson. Hurts or Caleb. Pitt scares me, and McCormick or Sean Tucker if Bucky is out. Full PPR. So he's got some questions here. First one, Adam Thielen or Garrett Wilson. Yeah, I do like Adam Thielen a little bit this week against the Cowboys. We just got news that Diggs is going to be out the rest of the season. They already lost Overshawn to multiple, ligament injury for the year. And, we've all seen Bryce Young playing good football. Adam Thielen looking refreshed after that, hitting that IR stint with that hammy injury. Been very productive down the stretch. But do you start him over Garrett Wilson, who takes on the Jaguars in a game we're going to pick later? Devontae Adams has kind of been Aaron Rodgers' boy. Well, he's always been his boy. Obviously, he brought him over, but the past couple of weeks has kind of been Devontae Adams. Now, we saw Garrett Wilson have a nice game last week. You know what, man? This is a tough one. I like both of these guys. I think they're both solid plays. I think I would slightly lean Garrett Wilson, though. I would slightly lean Garrett Wilson. Now, maybe a little bit better of a game script for the Panthers, possibly. The total's higher, 43.5. It's possible the Jets could just blow the Jaguars out here a little bit. And that's in the cards. Their defense comes to play. Maybe Breece Hall's coming back this week. Maybe they lean on him in the second half. They don't really have to throw that much. Plus, Isaiah Davis looked good last week as well. So they could just run the ball a lot in this game, whereas the Panthers, maybe they're down in this game. Maybe they got to throw a little bit more. So it's very, very close, man. Adam Thielen certainly has been playing well. I think I got to go with Garrett Wilson, though. I mean, just comparing where these guys were drafted in our drafts this year, let's stick with the talent. I mean, I love the way Adam Thielen's playing. He's had a very, very successful career, but I'll give a slight edge here to Garrett Wilson, even though I don't mind going with Adam Thielen. He also says Hurts or Caleb. Pittsburgh defense scares him a little bit. They are 5.5-point favorites at home against Pittsburgh. Caleb had a pretty nice game last time against the Vikings. That was the Thanksgiving game, right? I think he threw for like 300 yards. They lost in overtime. I think he threw a couple touchdowns in that game as well. Total in this game is 43.5. But, I mean, can you really sit Jalen Hurts for Caleb Williams here? You just got to expect Hurts to get you that floor of maybe getting a rushing touchdown or two. So I get it. Pittsburgh's not the best matchup, but they're home. They should be able to move the ball. They should get into the end zone a couple times, and I think Hurts will be at least part of one or two of those. So I got to give the slight edge to Hurts. Yes, I don't like the matchup that much either, but I think you got to stick with Hurts there. And, Pittsburgh, yes, third best against quarterbacks. And the Vikings, about middle of the pack. Well, let's look at the last 8 weeks here. Yeah, Vikings still about middle of the pack. And then the Steelers are about sixth best. So I'll give the slight edge to Hurts there. Not great matchups for either one. But I think Hurts is the guy you rode all season long, so you stick with him. And Oklahoma City wins the NBA Cup semifinals, so they'll play whoever won the game prior. I missed it. I was out all day. I was shopping around and stuff. But there you go, man. One more here. McCormick or Sean Tucker? I'm going McCormick because you're going to get Rachaad White, and McCormick is the starter. I know Madison's coming back this week, but McCormick's been their best runner all year, so we're going to go with McCormick there. Thanks for the question, man. Appreciate it, KJ. LaPlace says, start Goff or Mahomes? Mahomes in the highest total of the week, 54 against the Bills, maybe this season of 54. I don't know if there's been a higher total. Correct me if I'm wrong this year. And we saw what the Bills did last week with the Rams getting into an absolute shootout. We could very much see the same thing once again. McVay picked apart that McDermott zone, and the Lions could, do the same thing. Ben Johnson and company could definitely do the same thing here. Bills pass rush hasn't been the best. So if you can't get pressure on Goff, he's going to pick you apart. The Bills are going to have to get creative a little bit here to generate some pressure. Didn't really do a good job of that last week. So this game could be an absolute shootout. So Goff, 250, 2 touchdowns. I believe when these teams played about a couple of years ago, I was looking at it earlier. I think Goff threw for like 250 and 2 touchdowns. So, the Bills defense can be tricky sometimes. They can kind of cap quarterbacks and cap receivers, but a 54 total, if they do cap, the Bills do cap the Lions a little bit. That means the Bills are going to take a lead. So the Goff's just going to have to throw it a ton anyway. So it looks pretty decent. And then Mahomes against the Browns, it looks like there's going to be a little bit of weather in that game. I don't think it's overly significant, but just looking at it here, we see at least some rain with potential of rain most of the game. On top of that, we'll be dealing with 15, 20 mile an hour sustained winds, gusting over 30 miles an hour. The wind-rain combo should impact offensive firepower here, especially the passing. That's from Kevin Roth on Roto Grinders. So, yeah, I mean, there's going to be some weather here. You want the pristine conditions of the dome, 54 total. You're going with Jared Goff this week. Thanks for the question there, buddy. Nelson Carmona says, should I start Alvin Kamara, Alvin Kamara. Yeah, James Conner, Chase Brown, or Rico? Pick 2 full PPR. You are stacked there, my brother, at running back with multiple good options. And Rico Dowdle really has been coming alive of late. I mean, this guy, they finally kind of thrust him into the starting. Well, now, some easy matchups here and there. But, he's been very solid. He's been the main guy. But you got to pick 2 here. And I think it's hard to, you can't sit Chase Brown. He's just been too good. The volumes has been too much. The Titans, not the best matchup, but you got to put Chase Brown out there. Kamara against the Commanders, I'm not thrilled with. We saw Kendre Miller, take a touchdown away from him last week. Now that Dennis Allen is out of the way and, locking Kendre Miller in the basement of the IR, he's out of that. He truly did seem like he really did not like Kendre Miller. I mean, freaking as crazy as it seems, it is true. So Kendre Miller, he's the fresh guy. They want to probably get an extended look at him. But I think it kind of hurts Kamara a little bit. So I think I'd bench Kamara. And then it's between Rico and Connor. And I just saw that DeMarcado is out of the way. He's not playing. Now, maybe that means a little bit more Trey Benson. But I kind of like the matchup here for Connor as they take on the Patriots. Good game script. He could have a big game. And Dowdle against the Panthers is certainly nice. But I think I'm going to go Chase Brown and James Conner here, man. If you wanted to consider one more, maybe Dowdle. Sitting Kamara sounds kind of crazy. But, with the emergence of Kendre Miller, I don't know. Maybe we see a little bit more Kendre here. And the Saints, Jake Haener, whatever his name is, 4th round pick. What's he really going to do? We don't really know. Are they going to be able to move the ball down the field? Now, I probably think he's better than Spencer Rattler from what I've seen when these 2 guys play this year. But, yeah, I think there's just too much uncertainty there, so that's what I'm going with. And Nelson says, have a hell of a hard time deciding. So that's what I will go with, man. Go with your gut at the end of the day. Connor and Chase Brown. Jamie, our boy, says, what's up, dude? What's up, Jamie? Drop your the link below for your wide receiver cornerback article. Let everybody check that out before the games tomorrow. Lamar Richmond says, would you start Jalen Hurts going up against Pittsburgh or Sam Darnold going up against Chicago? And Darnold also had a good game in that Thanksgiving game. I believe he threw 2 or 3 touchdowns with significant yards. And he's playing good football. And Jordan Addison had a big game in that game. He's coming up. You got Hawkinson back. You got freaking Justin Jefferson. I mean, think of the weapons that freaking Sam Darnold has. And Kevin O'Connell, very, very good offensive coordinator. He knows how to dial it up. The Bears defense has fallen off of late. So yeah, Darnold's pretty solid, man. I you know what? I don't really think Hurts is going to do a ton this week against Pittsburgh. It's kind of be a slow, methodical game. I kind of like Sam Darnold going up against Chicago at home. So just see if there's any weather here in Philly. A little bit of rain. Doesn't seem anything bad at all. But yeah, man, I think I'd go Darnold. It's going to be hard to rank Hurts. I mean, if you look at most of the consensus rankings, I doubt anybody has Darnold over Hurts, or it's probably, very, very rare that somebody has that. Let me just see here. Looks like the consensus. Yeah, you got Hurts 5, and then Darnold's right behind him at 8. But that's just for rankings. People play it safe. I'm looking at the fantasy pros just for their rankings. So that's why you got to be careful with some of these rankings when you follow them on these fantasy pros, because people don't want to go too crazy because they're in this rankings tournament too, where they're trying to finish as high as possible. I kind of just rank them how I think rank them. I don't really try to stay too safe. Maybe a little bit, but I just go too crazy. Will I rank Darnold over Hurts? Yeah, I probably will. I probably will give Darnold the slight edge here over Jalen Hurts. Thanks for the question. Tyler Sperry, our boy, says Reed or Myers. Worried that it's not O'Connell. Ritter couldn't even throw it to Tyreek in Miami. Supposedly Ritter looked better last week. I don't know. That's true. Ritter played in Miami. I don't think he played there. You mean did he play in Miami? Did he after the Falcons? I don't even remember. But I know he was on the Falcons last year. It was a total shit show. And then I think he just went to the Raiders this year. So I don't know if he was ever in Miami. But either way, he had weapons in Atlanta, and he really didn't do too much with it. Ritter obviously has been very, very underwhelming. Supposedly somebody said the tape was good last week. I wanted to get around to it. I didn't get around to it. But yeah, I understand your concern here. So Jaden Reed puts up the donut last week, or Jacoby Myers. Maybe Jaden Reed bounces back here this week. Packers take on the Seahawks 45.5 total. That certainly could be the case. And then you have Jacoby Myers, who, along with Brock Bowers, is the number one option on Monday night against the Falcons. Not a bad matchup. Not a bad matchup. That's a close one, man. I think maybe the safer play, because where the targets are going to be going, is Jacoby Myers, where Jaden Reed has to contend with Josh Jacobs, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs coming back this week, Tucker Kraft, a little bit of Dontavian Wicks here and there. So it's a little bit more hard to predict with Reed. Reed could certainly have a very nice game. There doesn't look like there's anything as far as weather, a little bit of rain in Seattle on Sunday night. You obviously at this, you get a lot of shitty rain games in Seattle, but doesn't look like anything significant. So I understand the concern with Myers. I think it's safer if you need a little bit more upside. You look at your opponent's team. He's got a pretty good team. Maybe you're down a little bit. I think you go with Jaden Reed for the upside. And he says Ritter was to his backup after concussion. Wasn't it Mike White? I don't know. I don't know why I don't remember him, but maybe you're right. Game Boy says, yo, what's up, Game Boy? And then Nelson says, how do we feel about Hockenson this week for the rest of the playoffs? Pat Fryermuth is sitting on waivers for me. Don't have much to drop, though. I don't know about Hockenson. Josh Oliver's back, but his playing time was kind of still up a little bit, even with Oliver back. I believe he still ran 25 routes, 78%. Oliver just ran 6 routes, 19%, 4 for 45 for Hockenson last week on 5 targets. So, Hawkinson's a very, very good player. And think about it. He came back from a pretty significant knee injury. So, that's going to take him a little while to come back from. So he could get geared up down the stretch here, and he's got so much, help around him. He just can kind of, fly under the radar with those 2 receivers. So, I feel pretty good about Hockenson. I think he could certainly have some big games. Pat Fryer, I'd rather have Hockenson over Pat Fryermuth. Pat Fryermuth could be nice. He's always been talented, but I give the slight edge to Hockenson the rest of the way. All right, let's get into the picks. You guys could keep commenting. I'll get to them as I go through these games. But again, 5-3 last week. We're 1 game under 500 for the year. We got to get over 52.5%. We're going to pick all the way through the Super Bowl. And just get my thing up here. Let's go to Houston. And I wanted to bring this up too. NFL.com does a pretty good job with a playoff picture, and they give you the odds based on if teams win this week, teams lose this week, what their percentages are. Just want to bring that up real quick. Where is it? Dun, 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 dun. I pressed the wrong button. I pressed teams. You got to press standings on here. Oh, I pressed it again. I mean, playoff picture. Did the same thing twice. But we will go to Houston. Houston's pretty comfortable. Miami, meanwhile, they are desperate. I mean, they have to win this game. And just looking at this NFL.com, percentage here, the Dolphins, if they lose, have a 5% playoff probability. If they win, that shoots up to 29%. Currently, they're at 15%. Meanwhile, the Texans, even if they lose, they're still at 92% because they're in that terrible AFC South. They are 8-5. And then, currently 96%. If they win, they're 99%. So they pretty much lock up the playoffs, although they pretty much have it in the bag right now. So this game means a lot more to Miami right now. And think about Houston. They barely beat Jacksonville before the bye. They lost to Tennessee before that. And they're letting up they let freaking Mac Jones and Will Levis throw combined 4 touchdowns. Cooper Rush threw for 350 on them. So what's Tua going to do in this game against the Texans in Houston? So that's going to be our first pick. It's going to be Miami getting points. Give me +3 for the Dolphins in a desperate spot. Tua playing good football. Tyreek is coming up a little bit. They had that shitty cold game in Green Bay, but otherwise they beat the Rams on the road. They beat Vegas. They beat New England. They didn't play good in the cold per usual. And then they took care of the Jets last week. But we don't have to worry about that. This is in a nice, comfy dome with the speed of Tyreek, with the speed of Waddle, with the speed of A-Chain, and Mostert's coming back this week. Their defense has been playing fairly solid. So I like it. Give me the +3. And I also like the over 45. I think Houston will make some adjustments. Now, maybe they make some nice adjustments on defense and offense, and they pull this game out. That's certainly the case coming off the bye. They're fresher as well. But I like the over. I think this game, like I just stated, Houston let freaking Mac Jones throw for 2 touchdowns. Will Levis throw for 2 touchdowns. Cooper Rush for 350. Miami just let Rodgers throw for 300 last week. So I feel like both these teams will let up some points. You got Nico back healthy, Tank Dell, you got Jaden, you got freaking Tyreek Hill, we got A-Chan, we got Joe Mixon. We got a lot of offensive talent in the dome, 2 capable quarterbacks. I think this over-under is way too low. So I love it. Over 45, plus the Dolphins +3, and you could tease that baby up, get Dolphins +9 and an over of 39. I think that's a really, really good pick, actually, that 2-team teaser. All right, let's move on to the next game in week 15. And we took this team last week. We took them last week. We took them the week prior to that. It didn't work out. But they got it for us last week. And we're going to go back to the well here. And that is going to be sorry about the music, boys. Sorry about that. We're going to the Jets. -3 on DK, -3 on Caesars. The rest of the books I see here is FanDuel, Bet365, BetMGM. I see -3.5. The Jets going on the road to Jacksonville. They just played in Miami. They're going to welcome going back to Florida. They got these freaking drones flying all over New Jersey. Who the hell knows what's going on? Is it our government? Is it Iran? No, obviously it's not Iran. Did you guys see the picture of the freaking mullahs and the spaceship guiding freaking drones off the East Coast? So we'll see what happens. To me, I think they're testing for something. They're looking for something. They're testing for something. It's our own government. They're not going to reveal it. There's an area in New Jersey called Sandy Hook And then like during the Cold War, they had like these missiles ready to launch, against Russia during the Cold War, and that was like top secret. So this is similar to that. 10, maybe 5, 10 years, 20 years down the line, we'll finally get the truth of what the hell was going on. But anyway, duly welcome to get back to Florida. They played pretty good last time in Miami. And we're going against Mac Jones, So I think the Jets defense can make some plays. The Jets have lost 4 straight. They've won, one game in their last 10. They're 1-9 in their last 10, 2-8 against the spread, but they did cover last week. So give me the Jets -3. Breece Hall coming back. Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams. Their defense can make some plays. There's no way Mac Jones is going to beat the Jets. I mean, if they do, it's going to be pathetic. But I think the Jets just roll here. I really do think the Jets, you're getting a little bit of value here, but just how pathetic the Jets have been, pretty much all season. And even, the Jets are just a pathetic team. But that's why you're getting some value. So -3, Jets for pick 3 in week 15. All right, pick 4. And we took this team a few weeks ago as a pretty big dog. I think they were getting 6, so nothing like what it is now. I think they were playing the Bucks that week, and they definitely let me down. They lost 30-7. And this is probably the biggest spread of the year. And the Ravens are giving 16 to the freaking New York Giants. Tommy DeVito, Tommy Cutlets is back once again. I'm in a Superflex league. I have him in a Superflex best ball. But anyway, I got to buy that in that league. But anyway, last time he burnt the Cutlets. Well, he burned the Cutlets this time. They're getting 16 points against the Ravens. Now, they certainly could get blown out. Like I said, the last time he started, they lost 30-7 to Tampa. And that game was at home too. So they're home again. He gets another shot. It was a good story. I believe they beat the Packers on Monday night last year. And then like after that, he kind of just fell off. It was a great story, him and the agent, whatnot. But I just think 16 points, I got to take it. And at that point, most people, maybe I'm on the wrong side, because at that point, 16 points, maybe people were just like, 16 points. You got to take the 16 points. And maybe the Ravens just come out and absolutely obliterate them this week. And it's not like the Ravens, they're still kind of vying for playoff, seeding a little bit here. They're 8-5. They're pretty much in the playoffs. If they lose, they're 88%. They're currently 97%. If they win, they're pretty much a lock at 98%. I guess if they lose, but obviously not going to lose this game. They're going to win this game. But the question is by how much? And I just got to go with the Giants. I think DeVito will play a little bit better. Tyrone Tracy, Neighbors, Slate. And I just think, and the way the Giants lost last week was terrible too. To the Saints with that missed field goal, that blocked field goal. But 16 points, I got to take it. It's just way too many points. Maybe most people are looking at it and saying, "Oh, the Ravens are just going to kick the absolute shit out of this pathetic team." But I'll go with the Giants here, plus the 16. That wraps up the 1 o'clock. So let's move to the 4 o'clocks now. And this is going to be an absolute great game, just like we saw last week between Matt Stafford and Josh Allen. We're once again going to get another great game between Josh Allen and Jared Goff. And the Bills go to Detroit to take on the Lions. I'm just trying to pull this baby up. And I mean, this could be a Super Bowl preview between these two teams. And I kind of feel like the Bills are going to Super. So best ball playoff underdog drafts have start underdog DK, also drafters. P and I did 3 drafts on Wednesday. Go check that out. I think we're going to do 3 more this coming Wednesday. Maybe go to DK this week. But that has started. And I'm trying to get Josh Allen. He's been the number 1 pick in pretty much all these best ball playoff drafts. I think they're going to Super Bowl. I think they're a good pick. They're a good bet for the Super Bowl. I bet them 2 weeks ago to win the Super Bowl. I think it was 4-1. If you got it in early, it was much better than that. But you could still get some decent value on it. Now, the Josh Allen MVP, I think that's at minus 400. That's pretty much a done deal, unless he absolutely collapses, but it's not going to happen. So the last time these two teams played was in 2022 with Goff on Detroit. The game was in Detroit. And the Bills won 28-25. Allen threw for 253 yards, 2 touchdowns. He ran for 78 yards and another touchdown. So 3 touchdowns in that game. Isaiah McKenzie was the leading receiver in that game with 96 yards. Diggs had 77. Goff also had 240 for 2 touchdowns. Jamal Williams ran for 66 yards and a touchdown. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 9 for 122, 10 targets and a touchdown in that game. So 28-25, 53, just under the 54 total that we have now. But I think we see a little bit more firepower in this game. Will the game go over? I'd like the Bills to win this game. It's going to be hard for me to not pick the Bills. Are they going to lose 2 in a row in 2 shootouts? Are they going to lose to the Rams last week and then go to Detroit and lose to them again? I think Detroit is kind of due for a loss here. And I think it comes in this spot. Detroit obviously on absolute fire. They lost 1 game all season long. And, they have basically 10, 11 straight wins. The Bills coming off a loss. The Bills, both teams are trying to get that number 1 seed and the bye. The Bills are in a little bit of trouble because the Chiefs keep squeaking all these freaking games out of their ass last second, but they do have the head-to-head. So if the Chiefs can lose 2 more games, and the Bills will get it. So the Bills are trying to get that. They're trying to get back home. The Lions are trying to stay above the Eagles. The Eagles have a fairly tough matchup too. So this is a good chance for both teams, to stay alive for that number 1 seed. But I like the Bills. Give me the Bills minus 2.5. Josh Allen. I don't think they lose 2 in a row. And then I didn't really want to take this, but the Bills would be my better pick in here. But if you want to go with the over, we'll make it official. 54. And I do like the Bills better, and I wouldn't mind, again, another tease here with the Bills and the over. I like that as well. But I just feel like the Lions this year just have too much offensively. And if you can't get pressure on Goff, he's going to pick you apart. So this could be a really high-scoring game, just like we saw the game go over the 80s last week with the Rams and the Bills. This game could be in the 60s easily. 34-31, 31-28, something like that. So let's go with the Bills plus 2.5. Buy up the hook to 3 if you want. Pay the extra juice, but for official purposes, plus 2.5. And then the over 54. All right. That's the only 4 o'clock pick. Let's move to the Sunday night game. And we have another pretty good game between the Packers and Seattle. Packers going to the West Coast, the Northwest, playing in Seattle. Not always an easy place to play, especially in a Sunday night game at Lumen Field. We know how loud that stadium can get. Pretty big game for, both teams seem like they're probably going to get in. The Seahawks are 8-5, but they still have to stay atop of that division. 41% chance if they lose this game. They're currently just 54%. If they win, it shoots up to 71%. The Packers are pretty much in because they're going to win that division, the NFC North. So this game kind of means a little bit more for the Seahawks. And when I match everything up, I kind of really don't have a play. This is kind of just going with a gut pick here. And remember, the Rams, they're knocking at the door at the Seahawks. Huge win for the Rams. They need the Seahawks to lose this game. And I kind of think the Rams may get in. So a little bit of a gut play. I still don't think we've seen the best games yet from the Packers. They really haven't really totally flowed on offense yet, like we saw last year with those Jordan Love games where he's throwing 3, 4 touchdowns. Now, playing my brother in a fantasy this week, he's got Jordan Love as his quarterback. He's got Josh Allen. We actually made a trade early in the year. He gave me Josh Allen, and I gave him Kareem Hunt and Jordan Love. This was like week 6 when Allen really was, I think he had like a couple games where he really wasn't doing that great. But I just think the Packers get it done here. I have plus 2.5, minus 2.5. Sorry, minus 2.5 on the road. Now, most people may look at Seattle and say they're at home. Give me the home dog. And they certainly could cover. We could get a great game out of Geno. We could get a nice game at JSN. DK Metcalf. He's been very, very underwhelming of late as well. So, interesting game. Very good game. And actually, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about this game, besides just taking the Packers plus 2.5, I'm going to take the over 45. 45.5 actually, bet MGM. Everywhere else it's 46 or 46.5. So this over may move up a little bit as we get closer to Sunday night. Obviously, it's the last game. People are going to put their last bets in. So this thing will probably hit 46, 47 by the time it hits Sunday night. So you wanted to get it in now. So Packers minus 2.5 and the over 45.5 on bet MGM. This is another one that you can tease as well. I like that. Very good game. Really, really good games this week. Again, 7 games in the 1 o'clock, 5 in the 4 o'clock, 1 Sunday night, and then 2 Monday night games. No pick on the Monday night games this week. I mean, they're both kind of underwhelming games. Chicago, Minnesota, not a bad one. And then you got Atlanta versus Vegas. I mean, for fantasy football, obviously, that's why we're going to be interested. Bowers and Bijan and Drake London and Jacoby Myers, like the question we had before. But that does it, guys, for week 15 picks. To recap, Miami plus 3 against the Texans. Miami, Texans over 45. Jets minus 3 going to Jacksonville, escaping the drones and the 30-degree weather, where the Giants will be playing in 30-degree weather at home, plus 16 against the Ravens. We're taking them. And then Bills plus 2.5. Buy it up to 3 if you want to be a little bit safe for official purposes. Once again, plus 2.5, over 54, Bills, Lions. And then Sunday night football, Packers minus 2.5 and the over 45.5 against Seattle. Let's check out a couple more comments. Mike says, Troy, my nephew says, hello. What's up, Troy? What's up, Mike, my brother? Appreciate you guys watching. And then Tyler Sperry says, if I remember correctly, you don't do kickers, right? I mean, I could give you my opinion on kickers, but to me, like, I just mostly pick a guy that's going to be in a good game script in good weather, and I just kind of go with that. But Hoff has that kicker video. I don't know if you check that out, Tyler, that he does every week. So go check that out on the Face Off channel. Tyler Sperry also says Broncos or Vikings kicker, Otten or Hawkinson. Let's see. And I think the Vikings, they cut John Parker Romo, right? They went back to that guy Reichard. And then the Denver kicker is I don't even know who the hell the Denver kicker is, to tell you the truth. But let's see the matchups. They get the Broncos. I mean, they get the Colts. I don't see any weather here in Denver. Let's see. A little bit of wind, actually. Winds should be breezy pretty early on, potentially 15 to 20 with gusts over 30. It does look like they drop off fairly quickly, and by the second half will be down to 10 miles an hour. So not a huge concern. And then you have the Minnesota kicker. I'd go with Reichert. I think I'd go with the dome kicker there against the Bears. I'd go with the Minnesota kicker. Who the hell is the Broncos kicker? Somebody let me know. I don't even know. I can't keep up with these kickers, man. Oh, Will Lutz. Yeah. He's been around for a long time. He kicked on the Saints for a long time. Can't keep with it. They're like closers, man. Like, these kickers are good for like 2-3 years. Then they get into big pressure spots and they miss a couple kicks. Then they fall off. Then they go to another team. Then they go to another team. And then they get cut. And then they sign by another team. So these kickers go around, getting dropped left and right. And then you also said Otten or Hawkinson. Good question there. Kate Otten not really doing what we saw early in the year. Ever since Mike Evans has come back, hasn't been the best. Hawkinson against the Bears. Let's see what the Bears are doing against tight ends. I think they've been pretty getting torched up a little bit. Yeah, about 6th, 7th worst against tight ends. George Kittle went for 6 for 151. That hurts you. But then Hawkinson on Thanksgiving also went for 7 for 114. So a really good game for Hawkinson last time. Austin Hooper went for 3 for 64. Zach Ertz went for 7 for 77. Ingram went for 10 for 102. So I think I got to go with Hawkinson. Otten really hasn't been the guy that he was early in the year. Again, since Evans has come back, Chargers defense is a little bit tricky. They are 4th best against tight ends. So let's go with TJ Hawkinson there. And Youngstar 210 on Twitch says at Fantasy Football Podcast, who do I start at flex this week? Jacoby Myers, Rico Dowdle, Zach Ertz, Calvin Ridley, or Khalil Shakir. So you got some talented guys there. Jacoby Myers, I would say no. Rico Dowdle over Jacoby. Rico over Zach Ertz. Rico over Calvin. The only question is, do you go Rico or Khalil Shakir? And Khalil Shakir, very, very good player in a shootout, 54 points. But we're getting Keon Coleman back this week. We're getting Dolan Kincaid back this week. We saw Cooper get all those targets last week. So you never really know. And Shakir, I believe, had his first game with 100 yards and a touchdown in the same game. So it's either like, Shakir has like 8, 9 catches for like 100 yards, or he has like 40 yards and a touchdown. I just think Dowdle against the Panthers, I think that's the one that's the safest one, right? Panthers about 6th worst against running backs this year or last 8 weeks. They let Bucky run for $152. Saquon, decent game, 124. The Bucks ran absolutely all over them. Tracy ran for 100 on him. Kamara ran for $155 on him. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of Rico Dowdle. I like Khalil Shakir. I think if you're not gonna go with Dowdle, I think Khalil Shakir would be the other one in that blowout. That high scoring shootout rather between the Bills and the Lions. And then Jamie says Vikings kicker is top 2 and Lutz is 6th. Yeah, so I would go. Yeah, like I said, the dome. Give me Reichert. John Parker Romo actually was. That guy missed like 1 field goal and they cut him. I think Reichert might have missed a field goal last week, if I remember correctly. But I'd still go with the dome guy anytime than the outdoor guy. And it's a good game script, so you don't have to worry about anything. They should be in the lead in that game and kicking some field goals. So there you have it, guys. I appreciate everybody tonight joining me. Face Off Sports Network. Make sure you guys like that button, please. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed already. If you're on Twitch or Facebook or Twitter, head over to the YouTube channel and make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. We'll see you next week for more NFL picks. The guys will be back tomorrow for last chance stardom sit-ems before the fantasy playoffs. That's it. Everybody have a great weekend. Enjoy the games. And that's it. God bless.